The day has finally come. Sitting alone in the ornate room, a heavy sense of dread settles in. She knows that once that grand door opens, her life as she knows it will be over. Her only thought is a desperate whisper. She just wanted to live. Looking back, she endured a lifetime of suffering. No matter how many times her father beat her for the crime of being born a daughter, or how they abused her, working her to the bone until she was on the verge of collapsing, she held on. Even when they treated her like a slave, barely feeding her a single proper meal, she endured it all. Why? Simply because she wanted to live. But in the end, nothing changed. She was merely a pathetic existence, living like someone else's tool. Now, she is being sold off into the great Eberhardt family. A woman stands beside her, chillingly grateful for this transaction, claiming that thanks to her being born, the Parvana family will finally rise again. They tell her to wipe that look off her face. Yet, after a lifetime of abuse, she knows exactly how this ends. She is being sold off to die somewhere. Her entire life has been nothing but a puppet's existence. As she sits trapped in this gilded cage, the only warmth she feels is for Momo, her love, her only family. She wonders where that white fluffy companion is right now. Suddenly, she hears heavy footsteps approaching. A hand reaches out and turns the handle. The door swings open with a creak, flooding the room with light. A tear slips down her cheek as she wonders what the man before her could possibly be doing. As a tall figure in black boots steps inside and stands before her, the room falls silent. The man looks down at her and speaks her name, Liliana. He confirms her full identity, Liliana Parvana. He notices the tears on her face and asks why she is crying. Then his words catch her completely off guard. He tells her not to say she doesn't recognize him, expressing his disappointment after all the time they spent together. Confused and bewildered, she stammers, asking what he means by that. As a gentle hand reaches out to her, he whispers that it's him. Even up until this very moment, she had absolutely no idea. She was just someone who wished for an ordinary life, completely unaware of what was about to find her. The white-haired man reveals the incredible truth. He is her puppy Momo. In that moment, Liliana realizes she has been caught in a massive, swirling vortex of fate. To understand how she got here, we have to rewind 3 months to the Parvana mansion. Liliana is the only daughter of a fallen noble house, but she lives as a shadow in her own home. One day, she is called out by a furious relative, a young man who screams at her to answer the second he calls. He treats her like a pest, demanding to know why she didn't come down immediately. When Liliana coldly asks what he wants, explaining that her mother told her to come down, the man brutally grabs her by the collar. He tells her she has no right to ask questions, that when she is told to come down, she comes down. She struggles, begging him to let go. But he just sneers, asking why he should listen to a pest like her. She fires back, declaring that she is a Zero, and warns him that if he lays a finger on her and gets hurt, it's on him. Without hesitation, he shoves her hard to the floor, making her crash to the ground. However, he hesitates, realizing that if he damaged the merchandise, his father would skin him alive. He admits she is lucky she is a Zero, threatening that if she weren't, he would have beaten her half to death. He then orders her to get downstairs immediately, because their mother doesn't like to be kept waiting. That is how she is treated in that household, like someone completely unloved by anyone. Stepping into the dining room, Liliana is surprised to find a lavish spread. A basket of fresh bread, grilled steak, cheese, and soup fills the table. Her mother invites her to sit, claiming she just called her down for mealtime. But Liliana knows the truth, lies. You've never shared a single meal with me. Her mother insists. What do you mean, what for? It's mealtime, so I called you to eat. Go on, take a seat. Her father, seated at the head of the table, tells her to sit down before the food gets cold. But the young man from before is already impatient. He shoves her into the chair, barking at her to sit down because she was told to. For Liliana, this sudden kindness feels suffocating. It's the first time in her life she's ever been treated like this, and it leaves a bitter taste in her mouth. She knows these people would never act this way without a reason. As she sits at the table with a face full of caution, her father pushes her to eat, asking why she isn't hurrying up. He even threatens to shove the spoon down her throat if she can't feed herself. Just as the tension reaches its peak, her father speaks her brother's name in a stern warning. Tayton. Tayton quickly backs off, claiming he was just joking. But the reason for their sudden hospitality soon becomes clear. Her father offers her meat, insisting that soup alone won't keep her full. He explains that she needs to put on weight to make a good impression on the Eberhardt side. He then coldly admits he's glad she's finally being of some use to the family. Telling her not to think too harshly of it, he frames it not as being sold off, but as a fair price being paid. Of course, that's exactly what this is. The family members laugh among themselves, brazenly calling it a natural order of things and claiming she should be thanking them for playing matchmaker. But Liliana sees right through their hypocrisy. The only reason they are feeding her a proper meal now is out of fear that her thin, scar-ridden body might be found flawed. The fine food she is tasting for the first time in her life feels repulsive. She never even expected an apology, but watching them gloat right in front of her face is too much. The laughter echoes cruelly as she silently pleads for them to stop. You shouldn't have done this right in front of my face, she thinks, her inner fury boiling over. You shouldn't have gloated as if you're doing me a massive favor, pretending you actually care about me. People like you. I will never forgive you. As her rage peaks, a violent, crimson energy erupts from her chest. The table shatters, plates fly, and her family members scream in terror as a dark red aura engulfs the room. Her father shouts, "WH, what is that?" But her answer is absolute never. Meanwhile, in a far more elegant setting, the white-haired man, the head of the Eberhardt family, sits calmly reviewing a report. He asks where this Zero is located. His aide informs him that she is in the village of Eden, within the kingdom of Verona. When asked how much they asked for, the answer is staggering: 50,000 gold. The aide explains they are a fallen noble family, now just ordinary court roads. A few days ago, the father approached the Crow Guild to sell his daughter. Apparently, the moment the Zero mark appeared on her, he flew into a rage about being ruined and demanded the money immediately. The man in white scoffs at the greed, noting that 50,000 gold is enough to buy 2 mansions in the capital. The aide offers to renegotiate the terms, but the white-haired man declines. He simply asks how long it will take to reach the village. Told it will take 4 to 5 days, he gives his final order: we leave tomorrow morning. Get everything ready for departure. In this world, humanity is divided into 5 distinct categories. The vast majority are Quattros, ordinary, powerless humans. Then there are the Tres, who are no different from Quattros, but the nobility created this title simply to separate themselves from commoners. Above them are the special few who can wield mana. The Dos use mana to cast spells, while the Unos store mana within their bodies to unleash devastating physical power. With their overwhelming strength, the Unos became the rulers of this world. But they are bound by an inescapable curse. The price of their power is their very life force, burning away their lifespan. And the only salvation for an Uno is a Zero. The rarest of them all, Zeros possess very little innate mana. However, when they meet their destined Uno, they awaken that Uno's true power and extend their lifespan. They are the only ones capable of doing so. And Liliana is one of those rare Zeros. After unleashing the explosive energy in the dining room, she finds herself alone on the floor, her body trembling. Disoriented, she asks herself what just happened, wondering if she had subconsciously used her Zero abilities. She has no idea how it happened, but she knows this is her chance. Desperate to escape, she quickly begins gathering what little she has, realizing she needs to get out of there now. Clutching a small wooden chest, she pauses as a memory surfaces. She thinks of Auntie Leshy, a woman who had visited her in the past. Auntie Leshy had handed her the box, saying, "Lily, take this." Confused, Liliana asked what it was all about. Auntie Leshy explained that she was sorry, but she wouldn't be able to visit the Parvana estate for a while because something had come up and she needed to head to the western continent. She told Liliana that if she ever got the chance to leave that awful house, she should take the items inside and run. She mentioned a special town called Cardell where she could hide out. But Liliana was scared. She admitted she couldn't leave all by herself, that she was too scared. Auntie Leshy comforted her, telling her she didn't have to rush. She just wanted Liliana to escape the Parvana family and find happiness. I want you to do what you want and live the life you choose, she said. It doesn't matter when. Just promise me that once you find the courage, you'll leave. It's the only way you'll ever be happy. Now, standing resolute in the snow, Liliana clenches her fist. She makes her decision, that's right. I'm leaving. I'm going to find the freedom I've always dreamed of, a place where even someone like me can survive. With her hood pulled tight, she sets off into the winter landscape, headed for the neutral lands for Cardell. Meanwhile, back in the Eberhardt estate, the white-haired lord is preparing to depart. His aide hands him a heavy garment, asking in surprise, "But a fur coat?" The lord questions if it's a bit heavy for the weather, but his aide informs him that while it's fine where they are, there's currently a massive blizzard raging in Eden. The white-haired lord pauses, his expression shifting at the word. "A blizzard?" He repeats, a hint of unease in his voice. The memory of a fierce snowstorm flashes through his mind, a blizzard where he lost his way and collapsed in the cold. His aide reassures him that they have packed plenty of potions, so there is no need to worry. He adds that if this Zero is truly his destined one, he has even less reason for concern. As the Lord turns to leave, declaring, "I'll be back," the aide hesitates, asking if he plans to bring the Zero back to the estate if she turns out to be the one. The Lord pauses, a flicker of distant, troubled memories passing through his eyes, before he quietly admits, "I'm not sure." Meanwhile, Liliana is shaken awake by a voice calling Miss, "Time to wake up. We're here." Groggily, she looks out the window to see a snowy landscape sprawling before her. The guide points to a distant town, telling her that town you see in the distance is Cardell. She steps out of the carriage, repeating the name to herself. It is a neutral territory sandwiched between the Verona Kingdom and the Athlon Empire, belonging to no one. She realizes it is a place where no authority figure, no matter how powerful, can just walk in and throw their weight around. Hope fills her. If I'm here, then maybe I can. Before she can finish the thought, a rough hand grabs her, and a suspicious young man demands to know why she is skulking around the village entrance and if the kingdom sent her. He shakes her harshly, yelling, "Are you deaf? I asked where you came from." Flustered, Liliana stammers, unable to answer. Suddenly, an older man appears, scolding the young man, Baylor, and telling him that's enough. The elder steps forward and asks, "Are you a traveler, child? What brings you to Cardell?" Liliana nervously pulls out the gold pocket watch Auntie Leshy gave her. The elder recognizes it immediately. "I see. So Leshy sent you?" When he asks about her relationship with Leshy, she explains that Leshy is her aunt, who told her to mention her name here. Baylor scoffs, complaining that she thinks they run a charity, but the elder sharply warns him to watch his mouth. The elder apologizes for his grandson's rudeness, explaining that they get too many people with malicious intent. Liliana quickly says it's fine, since she barged in uninvited. The elder introduces himself as Walter, the elder of Cardell, and asks for her name. She starts to say, "I'm Liliana Parr," but stops herself. No, just Lily. I really don't want to use my family name." Walter nods, saying, "Very well, Lily. You said you came looking for help. Can you tell us what exactly it is you need?" Lily looks at Elder Walter with earnest hope. She tells him she heard that Cardell sides with the weak, that it's a sanctuary for the oppressed and marginalized. If that's true, she asks, is there any way she could stay there? She promises to keep her head down and not be a burden, adding that she just has nowhere else to go. It won't be forever. Just a year or even a few months would be enough. Elder Walter listens patiently. He understands her situation, then offers her far more than she expected. He tells her there's no need to put a time limit on it. She may stay as long as she likes. He will set her up with a small cottage so she can rest comfortably. Overwhelmed, Lily asks, "Really?" But she hesitates, pointing out that he doesn't even know who she is, and she just showed up out of the blue begging for a favor. She questions if he is really okay with taking her in. The elder smiles warmly, explaining that Leshy helped them quite a bit in the past. How could he turn down a favor from her? But honestly, even if she weren't related to Leshy, he still wouldn't have turned her away. He gently places his hand on her head. "Like you said, Cardell is a haven for the weak. So from now on, I want you to think of this place as your home and get some proper rest. Welcome to Cardell, Lily. Tears well up in Lily's eyes as she whispers, "Thank you." And then louder, "Thank you so much, Elder." Meanwhile, out in the bitter cold, a group is trekking through the snow. A cheerful blonde man laughs at the nasty weather, joking about how they didn't expect it to snow this hard. He complains about the nerve of the guy who made them trek all the way out here, especially since he's already an hour late. Beside him, the white-haired lord takes a deep breath. His companion notices his condition and asks if he's all right. The lord assures him he's fine, explaining that this little detour wasn't exactly planned, so it just took a bit out of him. He orders his subordinate to check if anyone is even inside. The blonde man knocks on the door, announcing loudly, "We're from the Eberhardt family. Faye and Parvana, are you in there?" When there is no answer, he bangs on the door again, calling out, "Hey, is anyone home?" "Faye and Parvana." He sighs, noting it looks like nobody's home. He wonders if the man got cold feet and bailed on the deal. Suggesting they should just head back to the guild due to the terrible weather, he asks, "Open it?" As he pushes the door, a faint creak echoes. He steps inside and lets out a confused, "Huh?" followed by the sound of the door groaning open. He turns back to his lord, looking uneasy, and admits, "Well, this is a bit of a problem." From behind him, the dark, empty interior of the Parvana mansion is revealed. A voice confirms the grim discovery. "As you can see, my lord, the place is completely empty." Standing inside the eerily quiet Parvana mansion, the blonde subordinate remarks on how empty it looks, suggesting the family might have already fled. But the white-haired lord is cautious, telling him it is too early to jump to conclusions. He notes a faint smell of food lingering in the air, meaning they were here not too long ago. He splits up the search, ordering his subordinate to check the ground floor while he investigates the second floor. As he climbs the stairs, his senses sharpen. He feels an intense, heavy scent as soon as he entered, and now standing before the door, he realizes it is unmistakable. This is definitely the scent of my destined Zero. Just then, a frantic shout echoes from downstairs. "My lord, please come down here quickly. Hurry." He rushes back down, asking what it is. The subordinate points to the dining room, where the Parvana family, Fan, his wife, and their son are all seated around the table, completely frozen in place. The subordinate asks if it is hypnosis magic, and assesses that by the looks of it, they have been in this state for an entire day. He notes that this Zero is stronger than they expected. The Lord's command is cold and immediate. Then dispel it. The subordinate hesitates, nervously asking for a potion because he used up more mana than expected following his lord all the way here. The lord sighs and hands him one. Grateful, the subordinate casts a spell, and swirling currents of magic erupt, breaking the hold over the Parvana family. One by one, they snap back to reality, confused and disoriented. Tayton asks, "What in the world happened here?" and checks on his parents. The blonde subordinate interrupts their days, telling them to save the family reunion for later. Startled, they demand to know who he is. Fayan nervously tries to assert his authority, asking, "Excuse me, but this is our house. May I ask who you are?" The subordinate introduces them. "We are from Eberhardt." He gets straight to the point. "Where is the promised Zero?" Tayton stammers, "See Zero? Didn't you say you were coming tomorrow?" The subordinate grabs him by his collar, eyes narrowing. "Are you failing to grasp the situation? The promised date has already passed. Just tell us the Zero's location." Sweating profusely, Tayton insists they were definitely right there, but suddenly disappeared. The subordinate presses further, asking if they hid her away. Terrified, Tayton vehemently denies it. "Of course not. We were planning to sell that wench to make money. Why would we hide her?" Observing the terrified Parvana family, the white-haired lord calmly concludes that it doesn't look like they are lying about the Zero's disappearance. Without another word, he abruptly turns and walks away. His subordinate chases after him, shouting, "My lord! My lord, where are you going?" As they step out into the snow, the lord gives a single firm order: "You, keep them restrained." As he strides through the falling snow, his mind is made up. Did she think Eberhardt would let her go? He muses. I will never let her go. No, I can't let her go. I need to find her before this scent fades. Because she's my destiny. A surge of power flares around him, his mana igniting in a flash of red light as he breaks into a sprint, leaving his subordinate stunned in his wake. Meanwhile, in the safety of a warm bed, Lily stirs. She smiles softly, savoring the rare comfort. It's warm. How long has it been since I've had such a relaxing night? She turns her thoughts to what she left behind, wondering what happened to her family. But she quickly reminds herself that if the hypnosis magic wore off, they are probably already looking for her. Once they realize the Zero has escaped, Eberhardt will start searching too. Yet, she reassures herself with logic. Cardell is not a place just anyone can enter. The Dose always maintain a barrier to protect it, so they won't be able to find her easily. If that happens, Eberhardt will give up soon enough. After all, as long as they get their down payment back, they can find another Zero anyway. It would be a different story if, by some slim chance, I was his destiny, she admits, before dismissing the thought with a bitter sigh. But that could never be the case. Someone like me, someone as ugly and worthless as me. There is no way I could be the destiny of such an incredible person. Her doubt is a stark contrast to the urgency of the man pursuing her. The white-haired lord stands alone on a snowy peak, struggling against the elements. The snow and wind keep scattering his scent, making it nearly impossible to track. Frustrated, he grits his teeth. I need to find the Zero before the night is over. Somehow, as soon as possible. I must find her quickly and... A dark, painful memory flashes before his eyes. A younger version of himself, lying helpless in the snow, a large, jagged gash carved across his chest. In a cold, detached tone, he finishes his thought. Kill her with my own hands. As the blizzard howls around him, he mutters the destination to himself, Cardell. He pauses as his aide's earlier question echoes in his mind. If this Zero happens to be your destined mate, do you plan to bring her back to the estate? The image of a woman crumpled in the snow flashes again, followed by the painful memory of a betrayal where the woman's heart was torn out. His grip tightens on the cool fabric of his cloak. He knows all too well the brutal reality of his world, that you lose people because you love them, and you get betrayed because you rely on each other. It is this bitter lesson that drives him forward. The white-haired lord's mind is a storm of bitter resolve. He watches a reflection in a shattered mirror, two figures standing together, before his thoughts turn cold. He scoffs at the notion of destiny, dismissing it as a petty thing born from the weak and powerless clinging to one another. If that is all destiny is, he decides, then he will sever the thread with his own hands. How truly unpleasant, he mutters. Just ahead, the snowy outline of Cardell comes into view. He checks his reserves, noting that he is almost there. His remaining mana was cutting it dangerously close. It would have been disastrous if he had arrived even a little later. He reaches for a potion to replenish his strength, only to realize his belt is empty. I don't have the potion. But wait. He thinks, recalling the moment earlier when his subordinate had asked for one, claiming he had used up more mana following him, and he had reluctantly given it away. Without time to dwell on his foolish generosity, he presses on. But the exhaustion from the blizzard and the overwhelming pull of the Zero scent cloud his judgment. Suddenly, he freezes in his tracks, stumbling as a shockwave ripples through him. Damn it. To think I would make a mistake like this, he groans. The realization hits him like a physical blow. He had made an absurd error right when his destined Zero is right in front of him. How could I be so stupid? A brilliant flash of blue light erupts around him as he drops to his knees. Nearby, Lily stops in her tracks, cautiously scanning the winter landscape. She is certain she heard a sound around there, but when she turns, she wonders if it was just her imagination. Tensing her ears, she insists, "No, I definitely heard something." Something like a whimper, the sound of an animal crying. She steps closer, parting the frost-covered branches to investigate. Her golden eyes widen in surprise as she looks down. "This is... puppy?" she whispers. Curled up in the snow, shivering violently, is a small, fluffy white animal, whimpering softly in the freezing cold. Lily shivers as she holds the trembling puppy close, wondering why such a small creature is out in a place like this. The puppy's body is as cold as ice, and she panics, knowing she has to get it somewhere warm quickly. Just then, a familiar voice calls out in surprise. Huh. Liliana? It's Baylor, the young man from earlier. He approaches and asks what's going on so early in the morning, also noting her thin clothing in the freezing weather. Lily quickly explains that she found this puppy dying in the forest and couldn't just leave it there. She asks if there is a veterinarian in the village, because if they leave the puppy like this, it won't make it. Baylor thinks for a moment, admitting there aren't any households in Cardell that raise dogs. However, he offers to head to the farm as an emergency measure to see if he can get some medicine. He tells her to go home and take the puppy with her, promising to bring the medicine over immediately. As Baylor rushes off, Lily looks down at the freezing animal and whispers desperately, "Don't die on me. Please." A wave of nostalgia washes over her as she remembers the very first time she saw a creature like this. The air was just as cold back then, the sky a bleak ash gray that matched the color of its fur. She reflects that perhaps it was simply because she and that dog looked the same, both abandoned, helpless creatures. She returns to her cottage and gently places the puppy on a soft bed. Grieving for the tiny thing, she wonders who could have left such a small, weak baby in a place like that. She holds it tightly, whispering, "I'm sorry. That all I can do for you is hold you like this." Suddenly, the door bursts open with a loud bang. Baylor runs in, holding a small bottle, and shouts, "Liliana, I got the medicine. She'll be fine now." He explains that it's medicine for animals made by the dose for the farmers. It can't cure serious illnesses, but they say it works on almost anything else and has fever-reducing properties. Lily thanks him profusely, but Baylor just tells her to forget the thanks and feed the medicine to the puppy first. She carefully spoons the medicine into the puppy's mouth, and they both watch with relief as it starts to swallow. "Oh, she's eating it well," Lily notes, a genuine smile appearing on her face. Baylor sighs in relief and tells her that once she's fed the puppy, she should lay it down somewhere warm. As they tuck the puppy in, Lily still looks worried, asking if it will really be okay with just this. Baylor reassures her that the medicine is practically a panacea among the farmers. Seeing her lingering concern, he offers a final piece of comfort. If she's still worried, he'll bring a dose over later. Even if they aren't a professional veterinarian, he adds, there is a dose who studied veterinary medicine for the sake of the village. Lily looks at Baylor warmly, noting that he is looking out for her because he knows she's anxious. She thanks him not only for getting the medicine for the puppy, but also for giving her his outer coat, realizing he must have been cold himself. Baylor flusters, awkwardly scratching his head and stammering. He insists it's nothing, claiming he sometimes runs around like this even in winter, just for exercise. Lily can't help but smile at his flustered defense, softly saying, "Still, thank you." He then remembers the basket he carried in. He admits he completely forgot he even had it, as everything was a mess because he was running around in such a rush. He reveals he brought some food. Lily is surprised, asking why he would go through the trouble. With a slightly embarrassed look, Baylor explains it's because he wanted to apologize. He was rude to her yesterday and spoke carelessly. Lily gently shakes her head. She admits that she tends to guard herself more than necessary whenever a stranger arrives, so she is truly sorry for her own rudeness. She reassures him that it's okay, knowing he didn't do it because he genuinely disliked her. "I'm just happy that you apologized properly like this," she says with a genuine smile. Baylor smiles back, turning to look at the sleeping puppy. He points out that she looks much better than before, and even her expression looks comfortable. Lily agrees, watching the puppy sleeping so peacefully. "Oh my, you're right. She's sleeping with such a peaceful expression." Baylor grins, reminding her, "See? I told you she'd be fine, didn't I?" He adds how cute it is, watching her little toes twitching. Lily gazes down at the dog and agrees wholeheartedly, "You're right, she is really cute." Then Baylor awkwardly clears his throat and brings up a new subject. "Hey, about the way you address me." Lily looks up curious. He explains that she doesn't have to use honorifics like that, it's perfectly fine to just call him Mr. Baylor. He quickly backpedals, admitting there isn't any special meaning behind it. It's just that since they're around the same age and he's been speaking informally to her from the start, it feels strange for her to keep using honorifics. Lily considers his words, a soft smile crossing her face. She holds her hand up and finally agrees, "Okay, Baylor. She then offers him the same courtesy. Then you should feel free to call me Lily too, okay? Baylor, caught off guard by her smile, blushes and looks away briefly before turning back to reply, sure, Lily. As night falls over the cozy cottage, the puppy sleeps peacefully under a blanket. Inside, Lily sits at a desk, thoughtfully pondering. She has set out some craft materials, trying to decide what name would be good for her. She tries out a few playful names, Mongsol, Mongyul, but shakes her head. They aren't bad, but for some reason, none of them feel quite right. She looks back at the sleeping pup, contemplating her features. She's so tiny, with short legs and a short tail. And that fluffy fur. Tapping her chin, she finally has a realization. She looks just like a ball of gray fluff. A satisfied smile lights up her face as she declares, "That's it. This is the one." With a satisfied smile, Lily carefully places the little puppy into a cozy bed made from a woven basket, tied with a delicate pink ribbon. She attaches a small wooden tag to the basket, and on it, she proudly writes the name she chose, Momo. Leaning down, she gazes warmly at the sleeping creature and whispers, "Sleep well, Momo." As the peaceful night settles over the cottage, a deeper truth begins to stir. Far away, a desperate, ragged voice cries out in the darkness, desperately gasping raises. Before dissolving into heavy, labored breaths, huff, huff. Inside the basket, the fluffy white puppy slowly stirs. Its consciousness flickers back to reality. Confused, it looks around at the unfamiliar wooden walls and asks itself, where am I? Is this a barn? It tries to move, but realizes its body won't obey. Struggling to piece together its fragmented memories, it recalls what happened. To recover its life force, it had cast a spell to become a small animal that could easily assimilate into the surroundings. But something has gone terribly wrong. It can feel its own body, the short, stubby limbs, the round shape, the soft fur. Judging by this feeling, the truth sinks in. Damn it. I've turned into a puppy. The white creature sits upright in the basket, its red eyes blinking in a flat, incredulous stare at its new, fluffy, adorably helpless form.